What's up, drop services? On this channel, I show how to make money online using strategies and tactics for my real online businesses that get results like these. And in today's video, we're getting into how to start drop servicing, answering every important question you could possibly have, and giving you every single step you could possibly need to successfully build your drop servicing business using the strategies and tactics I used to go from $0 to $1 million drop servicing. So make sure you have your notebook ready, because you're about to learn it all. You're gonna wanna save this video so you can come back to it again and again. Before we get into it though, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more strategies and tactics you need for your business journey. And as we go through, if you have any questions at all, just comment below and I'll personally answer you in an upcoming Q&A video. First of all, what is drop servicing? Well, it's not selling services from Fiverr to clients you find with Google Ads. It's not affiliate marketing by running ads for another company's services. Drop servicing is quite simply a low-cost business model whereby you start with finding a service that's selling well online using various methods we'll discuss in this video. You find a freelancer or multiple freelancers that deliver the service you choose, then you build an in-house team and brand around pricing and packages for that service. It differs from outsourcing because you're not simply obtaining goods or a service by contract from an outside supplier or contracting work outside of your own company. You are building an in-house team under your own brand and company where you have complete control over their work processes and absorb all of their knowledge. It's simply a method for building digital agencies that sell services at a low cost without you having to deliver the services yourself. You can build a team for free because they work on a per project basis, meaning you only pay them when you get paid. Also, you can get your first sales for free with the free marketing methods I'll be discussing in this video. But why would freelancers want to work with you? Why would clients want to work with you? Why does drop servicing work? First of all, great freelancers, anyone great at anything, are focused on what they do. They don't have time to focus so much on the sales and marketing side of things. So when they do, their quality suffers and so does their ability to get future clients. So in general, freelancers want easy ways of getting a steady stream of clients, and the smart ones see that by working with you, they can focus on what they do best, the delivery of the service, while you handle the marketing and sales for them. Rather than having to go out there searching for clients 24/7, you're doing this part for them. It's a win-win situation. But what if they see I'm charging more than I'm paying them? This is a common worry people have about drop servicing and drop shipping too. If you're selling, via AliExpress, it's the same kind of situation. But the thing is here, the freelancers, or as we call them, your delivery team, agrees to pricing with you before working with you. In other words, they already told you the pricing they're happy with. You're just adding your profit margin to that pricing. I've never once had a freelancer get mad that I'm selling this service for more than I'm paying them, because it's the same as if you got mad at your boss for, making money through your labor. You agree to a certain pay rate, right? Obviously, the business retains the value created, so it's basic economics, but this isn't an issue because your time and skills are also worth money. That's why you make a profit. You're the marketing and sales essentially. You're the visionary. You're building the system. But what about the clients? Why would they want to work with you? Well, you need to remember that we all seek to minimize time and energy. So it takes a lot of work to go out there and research all the best companies. On top of that, you'll be able to give a better price than your competitors in most cases. But price isn't the be all and end all of purchase decisions for these companies. It all comes down to being in the right place at the right time with a good offer. So when it comes down to it, drop servicing works because it's a win for you, a win for the freelancers, and a win for your clients. Now, who should do drop servicing? Well, anybody that wants to do drop servicing should do it, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a method of building a real online business. So if you're lazy, not all in, doing a million things at once, not going to take action, unwilling to come up with creative solutions to novel problems, then it's going to be a bad idea for you to start a business in general. If you want to build your knowledge and skills in the marketing and sales side of online business, then drop servicing is the best option for you. We have people, around the world, from the United States to India, getting sales, people as young as 16 getting sales, and obviously older people can do this too. We have, had members older than you if you're watching this most likely. There's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do this beyond, again, any mental mindset, priority situation that prevents you from taking initiative and action and building a real online business. If you can build any other kind of online business, you can definitely build this one too. And people hate when I say this, but you can fully automate things things as I'm going to show you in this video here, which is where you might aim to be in the advanced stages of drop servicing. The great thing about drop servicing is there are thousands of combinations between different services, niches, and marketing channels. You could start a drop servicing business selling copywriting services to web design agencies who sell to their clients by finding them on Google. You could sell resume writing services to graduate students by posting in student Facebook groups. While there are very low barriers to entry in the market, there is too much demand for any one competitor in general because we are all bound by how much time we have and how much time our team has, because most services have a human component, right? So once we have too many clients for our 24 hours in a day, we no longer want or need more. If we want more, we have to hire, train, and scale more, which gets to be a lot of effort once you've already reached an income that you're happy with. You have to be insane to keep working at that point and actually enjoy work for the sake of work. So what are the best drop servicing niches right now? Well, all of those I'm about to share with you fit a few key criteria, okay? They're high demand with low competition and easy to start, so you can find freelancers and learn about the product enough to sell it very quickly. The first niche is reputation management for restaurants and cafes, which I covered in this video here. So the next is video editing for YouTubers, which I got into with this video here. And the third is salespeople for coaches and influencers, which I cover in this video here. So check out those videos after you finish this one, because we're going in depth in how to build your drop servicing business step by step here. But first, we need to answer a few more questions for you. Can I start drop servicing if I'm young, old, from X country, okay? We've got students as young as 16 getting sales, students from developing countries such as India getting sales, students with a full-time job and a family getting sales, and of course, older students that really see more of an advantage because they have more life experience. So whether your current situation is more difficult or easier, it all comes down to your resourcefulness at the end of the day, right? What I would say is it's not a get rich quick scheme, but I've seen people from all walks of life all over the world put in the work and get results with their online businesses. As the internet becomes more of a commodity, I'm really excited to see its hand in the global economy become more and more powerful. While I'm not going to, diminish your current situation, but remember, don't victimize yourself, empower yourself whilst remaining grounded in reality to, do what you can to achieve what you truly want. Okay, so before we dive into the step-by-step guide part of this video, there's a very important question we need to answer. How much money do I need to start? That's one of the most common questions I get, but let's expand that question, because money isn't the only resource you have in building a business. You also have time and energy. So time is pretty straightforward, but energy is your ability to actually be productive with the time that you have. So let's break this question down step by step and then use an example, okay? In general, the answer for all three of those resources is the more the better, right? I mean, if you're Elon Musk, then that's awesome, but the cool thing about drop servicing is you can start one of these businesses with absolutely no money. You need to order your time, energy, and money to figure out how much you can invest into your business right now. So sit down and make a plan. Maybe you don't have any money, but you have a lot of time. Maybe you have no time, but you have money. So figure out a plan that will actually work for you. And I'm going to work for 2 hours per day and spend $100 per month on my business, for example, whatever it may be. But you need to also consider how much energy you can focus on your business and be consistent with it, right? If you lead a very busy lifestyle, you might say, well, I know myself and I can only, work 2 hours per week to invest in my business on the weekends as a hobby. Anything is good, and it's enough as well, as long as you are consistent with it and you take action. It's not about rushing to the finish line in a desperate attempt. It's about building skills and becoming consistent in the application of those skills. Now, let's use an example of myself, okay? It was over 5 years ago now that I started my first business. I was working in a call center at the time, didn't make much money at all, and I was living in a very expensive city, Wellington, New Zealand. I only had $200 per month to invest in my business, and I also only had 2 hours per day at most that I could invest in my business because of that job. And I also wanted to keep doing things like, going to the gym and having a social life. With this, I was able to get my first few $1,000 sales 3 months into starting my business, and I wasn't doing things optimally like I'm about to show you, by the way. So let's break down the numbers. 3 months building the business, 3 sales equals $1,000 $100 each equals $3,000 total. Production cost $900, profit $2,100. So that's basically what it took me to build my first drop servicing business. And it wasn't really even ideal either. I didn't put much time or money into it and didn't put any special effort. After I got those first sales, I did go a lot harder though, okay? I went really hard, and in this video, I'm gonna give you the method for how to get your first sales 100% for free with just 2 hours per week of work before scaling and automating so you can make your desired target income working a few hours per week. So let's get into this step by step here. Make sure you've got your notebook ready, okay? How do you build a drop servicing business? Now, there is a lot to know if you really want to do things well, so we're going to reveal every piece of the puzzle here, which is why I recommend really watching all the way through and then coming back again to use this video to guide you through every step of building your drop servicing business, so you can pause when you need to and revisit what you need to. Let's dive right in. So I'm the most practical guy in the world, okay? And this isn't a super, spiritual voodoo video, but we do need to break down your starting point, okay? How you're coming at this. So let's talk a little bit about the mindset phase of your drop servicing business, but really any endeavor you'll ever undertake. This is the way to approach it if you want to be successful, okay? From my own research into motivation as a graduate student back in the day, from my own experience building successful businesses, and what I've seen from coaching hundreds of people over the years, is there's a big difference between those who failed and those who've been successful, and it all comes down to the mindset. So these are the key mindsets you need to have if you want to succeed in anything. Before you set out on any journey, you need to decide why you want to do it. It might sound obvious, but barely anyone actually sits down and figures out why they want to achieve something before they do it. If we don't know why, then we're not really doing things with complete clarity. And this means when things get tough, when resistance to taking that next action or making the right decision comes up, you'll give in to the easier option. So make sure you sit down and write down why you want to succeed at this and what exactly success looks like. Be clear on how it will feel to fail and how it will feel to succeed. Pause the video right now and do that first step. This is a super common concept across all self-development, by the way. I didn't invent this, but it's super helpful. If you didn't read the book Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker, you must. It's a short read and a must read for any would-be business owner. Managing yourself means using your time and energy in the most efficient way possible. More specifically, having the discipline to make decisions that yield the most output. Deciding to work on that, new marketing campaign instead of getting drunk with your friends. Having control over your actions so that, what you do is actually aligned with what you want to achieve. And this is harder than you think, because the fact is, you and I are only human, okay? We want to do what feels good, which is usually what's easy. And working on your dreams takes effort and energy, which is why knowing why you want to do it and what you want to achieve in the future is crucial. You need to track your habits, track your progress, and plan your actions so that you can see by looking at your plan whether you're on the right or wrong track. So I recommend doing that now. Sit down and figure out how much time, energy, and money you're going to dedicate to this pursuit. With the rise of social media and the abundance of information online, we can get access to any answer to any question we want at the click of a button. The same is true with building your online business. You can easily see what others have to say and what others do. This is great, right? Because you can use that information to achieve things that you wouldn't have been able to do before. But this also brings up a really sinister problem for us. We put the information we find on a pedestal and the people giving that information on a pedestal. We no longer test things, try things, think of new ways of doing things, but there lies the problem, okay? Successful business people come up with creative solutions to novel problems. We no longer develop, work on, or build the skill of creativity. We simply copy what we see others doing, which is cool and will bring a certain level of success for sure, but it's 100% true that those who become really massive successes are those who take the fundamentals of what works and come up with their own ideas, test those ideas, and 1 in 10 of those ideas become major successes. The beautiful thing about creativity is that there's not much competition because most people are lazy. If you dedicate yourself to coming up with ideas and really testing those ideas, you'll be in the top 1%. The next mindset you simply must adopt if you want to be a successful drop servicer, online business owner, or successful in anything is self-reliance and self-responsibility. Having a victim mentality, blaming the external environment, removing all blame from from yourself is the easiest way to fall into learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a state that occurs after a person has experienced a stressful situation repeatedly. They end up coming to believe that they are unable to control or change the situation, so they simply don't try, even when opportunities for change become available. So American psychologist Martin Seligman conducted a famous experiment with 3 groups of dogs placed in harnesses, which was pretty much animal abuse if you ask me, but group 1 dogs were put in a harness for a while and then later released. Dogs in group 2 were given electric shocks at random times, which the dog could end by pressing a lever, and each dog in group 3 was paired with a group 2 dog. So whenever a group 2 dog got shocked, its pair dog in group 3 got a shock of the same intensity and duration, but its lever did not stop the shock. So to a dog in group 3, it seemed that the shock ended at random because it was paired with a dog in group 2, and that was causing it to stop. Thus for group 3 dogs, the shock was inescapable. So in part 2 of the experiment, the same 3 groups of dogs were tested in a shuttle box apparatus, so basically a chamber containing 2 rectangular compartments divided by a barrier a few inches high, and all of the dogs could escape shocks on one side of the box by jumping over a low partition to the other side. So the dogs in groups 1 and 2 quickly learned this task and escaped the shock, but sadly most of the group 3 dogs, which had previously learned that nothing they did had any effect on the shocks, simply lay down passively and whined when they were shocked. I took all of this from the Wikipedia page, by the way, because I'm a registered scientist, of course. Learned helplessness is important because failures can eventually make it seem like you have no impact on outcomes, which leads you to not even try. And this is really the killer of success, giving up and blaming the external environment. In the end, the only thing you can control is yourself, your own actions, and focus on consistently taking the actions that lead to the right outcomes in the long run. So if you start blaming everything and everyone but yourself, then you're never going to succeed. That belief in the fact that your actions have outcomes and you control those outcomes through your actions is crucial to your success, because it means you'll have perseverance in the face of uncomfortable difficulties and failures. In order to be successful in the long run, you simply need to consistently do the things that get you the results and, improve at doing those things. So before we get into the actual action-based content, you need to believe in your own effects on the external environment and stop blaming everything but yourself for your current situation, or you'll be stuck in that situation forever. So with that out of the way, let's get into the research phase of your drop servicing business. Now, it may seem a little strange, especially if you're a beginner, but aiming to start some new crazy business idea that nobody has ever done before is not the best way to start a business. The percentage of people who successfully do this is extremely low. First of all, innovation requires convincing a lot of people of your idea. It requires a lot of capital, and your idea is very unlikely to work in general. To start a truly profitable business that can be profitable from the beginning, you need to stack the odds in your favor by selecting very high percentage plays, meaning getting into a business where you're highly likely to be successful. You need to get into a business that's already working for other people and has low barriers to entry, meaning it's easy for new players to enter the market, okay? So that's what we're doing with drop servicing, as we can essentially start this business for free or very cheap. So knowing we don't want to reinvent the wheel with our business, we need to choose the option of reverse engineering what our competitors are successfully doing and what they're successfully selling. The first thing you need to do is choose your highly profitable service. How to do this is pretty basic. Go to the freelancer sites like freelancer.com, Upwork, and Fiverr, and look at what is selling the most by checking how many gigs there are on Fiverr or checking how many jobs are being posted for the service on Upwork. Create a massive spreadsheet and break down the data. Beyond data though, you should also think about, what you personally like, what you want to learn more about, what you want to sell, and if you have more or less knowledge, in a certain service. So if you can learn enough about it to sell it, or is it too complicated for you as well? And all of these are very important factors to take into account when choosing your service. Now, once you've chosen your service, you need to reverse engineer your competitors, which basically means doing in-depth research into what they're doing, look at their website, their social media, fill in their contact forms to discuss with them the purchase of the service, and ask as many questions as you can. Figure out, exactly what they're selling, how much they're selling it for, the way they're selling it, For example, are there pricing packages directly on the website where you can make a purchase, or do they ask you to get on a call to discuss everything with them? If they do ask you to get on a call, you should actually do it and prepare some questions, see how much intelligence you can gather. So this is what I did when I first started my business. Okay, I was getting on calls with all of my competitors and figuring out exactly what they were doing. So once you've created a detailed system of what your top competitors are doing at all levels, you can move on to the next step. Now that you have your service that works and all of the information you need on how it's sold, by reverse engineering your team, you need to choose your niche, meaning the specific segment of the market that you're going to be targeting with your service. Google ads for plumbers, for example. This can be done by, first of all, using your brain to come up with who you think would benefit most from your service, then doing research on Google, Facebook groups, talking to freelancers, talking to competitors, coming up with a list of who's the best target market for the service that you've chosen. Now, all of this information is great, but in order to be able to have a business, you need to actually have a team that can deliver the services, unless you've chosen to do things yourself in the beginning. You're going to need to find your high quality team at the lowest price, which is pretty easily done by coming up with a set of specifications for a given project that, from your research, seems like most competitors are offering, then talking to as many freelancers as possible. Don't be lazy, create a spreadsheet and figure out who can carry out the set of specifications at the highest level of quality for the lowest possible price. Now you've got all the information you need to actually build your business. The next step is very crucial if you want to actually get results. You'll want to craft your offer and make it customized to the service you've chosen for the niche that you've chosen. So for example, if you're targeting dentists, you wouldn't talk in terms of getting them more sales, you'll talk in terms of getting them more patients. Come up with an offer that is actually appealing to the niche that you're going after. An offer that's all about you and offers no value is not going to work. Make sure you're offering real tangible value and solving a direct problem for your client in that offer, right? This should include packages, pricing, features and benefits, exactly what you're selling and why. The build phase of your drop servicing business is going to be where you take all of the information you've gathered and developed in the research phase and put it into action. We're going to go through the process of building the structure, writing your copy, and launching your first campaign. This next step is important because this is where people get scrambled. You really need to focus and choose just one, so we can keep all of our attention on one thing and increase our likelihood of success. What you're going to do now is choose your first marketing channel. First, you have the outbound marketing channels. This is where you're going to be reaching out to people who don't know you with your offer. These are known as free methods because they can all be done for free, but also can be paid if you're going to automate them with people and software. So this includes things like Facebook page outreach, LinkedIn outreach, Instagram outreach, which you can learn more about in this video here. Also cold email, cold calling, and selling directly on freelancer networks themselves, such as Upwork. I recommend starting with one of these channels if you have, less money, but more time to invest in growing your business. Next, you have the paid advertising marketing channels, which include things like Google ads, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads, and Facebook ads, which I've already created a video on, and you can watch that here. These are the best if you have more money to invest in your business, but less time because of a full-time job or other responsibilities. The third set of marketing channels, which I recommend that you implement in your business, last are inbound marketing channels, which include things like social engine optimization, social media marketing, and partnerships or affiliates. These marketing channels take a lot more time to work, which is why I recommend implementing them last. They are, however, extremely powerful and useful ways to get a lot of traffic to your offer, and are for sure useful whenever you like, especially if you're really interested in them as marketing channels in general. Now, the first step is to build your digital real estate, which are essentially the home bases for your online presence. This could be your website, website, LinkedIn page, Facebook page, Upwork profile. You don't need anything and everything. Just select what's essential to your first chosen market channel. For example, if you're going to choose Facebook page outreach, you'll need a Facebook page. If you're going to do cold email, you'll need a website. If you're going to sell services on Upwork, then of course you'll need an Upwork account. So you just need at least one page where you're going to be driving traffic to, and that will do a lot of the selling for you. For example, where you can explain your packages and your offer, and it will also match up with the marketing channel that you've chosen, because if you choose the free method of LinkedIn outreach, for example, you can choose the free digital real estate of a LinkedIn page. If you've chosen the paid method of Google Ads, you can choose the paid method and you'll be using a website for that. Now that you've got your marketing channel and digital real estate set up, you're ready to launch into your first marketing campaign. So we get into each and every marketing method campaign in the drop servicing blueprint, where I actually build a business with you from scratch and give you everything from one of my successful businesses I run to this day. So check that out if you want to go deeper into that. But the first step really for any campaign is to create 10 templates to test. The reason I say this is, again, starting a drop servicing business or any real business is not a get rich quick scheme. You need to use your brain, your creativity, and think like an engineer, like a scientist. So we're going to constantly experiment with every single piece of our system and look at what the numbers are, and then tweak those numbers by actually testing things. Using all of the information that you've gathered during your research, you need to come up with at least 10 templates, whether it be for ads, for cold emails, whatever the medium is. You need multiple variations of the message to see which version of your offer gets that match to the market, the people you're communicating with in your marketing. We will then look at the winning variations and create further variations to test in your campaigns ad infinitum. Now, a good way to do this is, first of all, study marketing, get templates from online sources, and come up with your own. So once you have most of your system ready by following the steps up until this point, you can launch your first campaign. Now remember, we are not emotionally attached to the outcome here. This is a test to see what's working right now and then optimize from there, because remember, as a drop servicer, you make most of the profit out of anyone as the person who brings in the clients, who makes the sales happen. You are in control of the sales pipeline. That is your job as a drop servicer. You are the visionary who ensures the pipeline runs smoothly. So what is the pipeline? Well, it's all of the steps that lead from someone not knowing who you are to purchasing your service. And this begins with lead generation, which is where you're gathering info, intel, data on your chosen niche. Making contact is where you're going in and reaching out to these leads to begin discussing and seeing whether they are a potential prospect. Appointment setting, where you are communicating with your leads via your offer to get them to set an appointment, in most cases with you or your sales team. The conversation, which is where the call is happening to provide a presentation to your prospect around how your service solves their specific problem. Then finally, after the call is over, the follow-up, where you're touching base with the prospect in an effort to get them to buy. These 5 steps are what lead to sales in any drop servicing business, with the caveat that the sales call is not always essential to close the deal. Depending on how expensive your service is, for the most part, this is essentially the entire marketing and sales process you're going to go through in order to close your first deals, and is all you really need to know to go from $0 to $100,000 per year. But what about hitting the next step to get to $1 million per year in your drop servicing business? First of all, we need to get into the optimization phase. But first, let's recap the entire system you've built up until this point. You've created your plan and goal so you know where you're heading. You've reverse engineered freelancers and competitors to discover what service to sell and how to sell it. You've chosen your first marketing channel and target niche to create the offer that will get you to $100,000. You've built your digital real estate, and you understand the sales pipeline you need to implement in order to consistently get sales. The next really important thing here is testing, because testing allows us to learn what works better or worse. So we're able to optimize over time. This isn't just about the copy you use in your offer itself, right? I mean, you need to test things across every aspect of your business, the marketing, sales, production, and post-production stage, because you're going to set up your drop servicing business so that it brings you income across those stages. And in order to properly test things in your business, you need to be tracking everything. You can't exactly track everything in your brain unless you have, a mind palace, for example.
Get out.
What?
Get out. I need to go to my mind palace. The what?
But personally, I like to use Google Sheets because it's free and simple, but there's tons of other options out there. And when I say, track everything, I mean all of the numbers, especially important, once you automate, that determine whether your business is healthy and successful. So of course, the accounting and finance stuff overall is important, but in the beginning, you'll be focusing on the marketing aspects, tracking your daily, weekly, monthly website visitors, leads, calls, sales, and more. That's the main thing to focus on in the beginning, because all you really want to do is get those first sales, scale to 10K, 100K, and so on. Then you need to add the third piece of the puzzle when it comes to optimizing a drop servicing system, and that's being consistent. In statistics, you need a sample size that gives you enough data to achieve a certain level of confidence in your findings. You can't know if your observations are correct by looking at the 3 times you sent an email. You need to send a lot of emails to be able to infer any conclusions about said email. When it comes to testing your copy, I recommend a sample size of 1,000. For example, sending 1,000 emails before you make a determination to the accuracy of the results when it comes to your open rate, for example. Also, in drop servicing, we get high ticket sales. Maybe one sale is worth $1,000 to you and it costs $300 to deliver the services purchased with that sale, which gives you $700 profit. You should then be willing to spend $700 to get that $1,000 sale, so you at worst break even on it, giving you at worst reliable data when you're breaking even, right? So you can't just send 100 emails, get no sales, then go and cry to mummy about it, okay? Focus on the data and sample size through consistently making offers and scaling up your ability to make those offers. So how do you go from $0 to $1 million? Well, in the end, it comes down to making more offers across more marketing channels, but your capacity is limited, right? Because if you're doing all of the work yourself, you're not going to have time to even handle more clients in the first place, which is why we first focus on the automation phase before scaling. And that just comes only after you've got a working system that you've built and run yourself for a while. You can then take yourself out of the system by having other people and software do the work for you. So this means your system will have more costs, of course, right? So you need to make sure it's making good profit and that you're willing to give up a certain amount of those profits in order to save yourself time and increase your business's capacity to take on more clients at the end of the day, making you more money in the long run, right? So in order to automate properly, you need to go about planning your drop servicing team. What exactly would a fully automated drop servicing team look like? Well, first of all, you need a lead generator and a salesperson to handle that sales funnel that we talked about earlier, and then a project manager to automate the communication between the client and your delivery team. Once you've planned out the people you need, how much you want to pay them, and how many hours you'll need them for, how many projects you'll need them for, you can go about hiring your drop servicing team, which can be done using platforms like Upwork, Freelancer, People Per Hour, OnlineJobs.ph, and more. Just make sure you interview them on a call to get their vibe and look through their work, past work, testimonials, reviews. You need to really make sure that their vision for how they work matches up with your own vision for them, right? But listen, hiring your team is all well and good, right? But if you don't go about managing and training your drop servicing team in the right way, then you're going to have a lot of problems down the line. So you want to make sure that you are tracking everything that they do, reviewing their work regularly so you can see if they're doing what they say they're going to do. And a great tool for managing your drop servicing team is of course Google Sheets, but also a software that I use called Hubstaff. It's really powerful in providing you screenshots of their work, activity times, see how much they're really working, and so on and so forth. So you can use tools for automating your marketing such as Woodpecker, Snovio, ActiveCampaign, and virtual assistants, then tools such as Basecamp and Trello to automate the production or delivery process. And all of this should be done by first creating working procedures that guide the team through training videos and detailed steps with screenshots of the task so they know what to do every step of the way. So once you've fully automated your system, you can move deeper into the scaling phase, which is where your goal is really to profitably make more offers through both, the marketing channel that you've been focusing on to get to 100K and adding in more marketing channels to essentially double the output of offers that you're making, and adding in more and more marketing channels to simply increase the size of output of offers while at the same time testing and tracking and optimizing those campaigns over time. That's only the first way to scale your revenue though. Step one is make more offers, but it'll always cost more to acquire new clients. Sometimes it can be much more powerful to focus on getting your current clients to buy again or keep them buying month after month. You can increase your retention rate by focusing on delivering a better service, offering a long-term deal, and selling longer-term contracts. You can increase your buy rate by coming up with new uses for what you're selling for their business, for example. And if you're selling animated videos, let's say, you can sell a video for the website, for their social media, their sales team, every service or product they offer, every use case they have, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot you can do with that. It all comes down to making the offers. You can also add in upsells, cross-sells, and downsells for your service, little extras that would add value to the package that they've already purchased, or additional service that makes sense for them. For example, with animated video production, a natural upsell would be to do their video in a different language, or add in website design. A natural cross-sell additional service would be SEO, but probably the simplest way to make more money from the customers that you currently get is to increase your prices. So you would think that this would mean less clients, but the fact is it will likely just mean you drive away poor price focused clients and get the clients that want to pay more for better quality. Our perception of price is also that higher prices mean better quality. That's why studies always show that, for example, we think that if wine is more expensive, it tastes better. So those types of things are really important to take into account as well when it comes to scaling your business. Now, in case you haven't done it already, don't forget to like the video. It's really good luck and it'll make you feel great. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more strategies, tactics, and tutorials like this one here. And also, comment below if you have any additional questions for me and I'll answer you personally. Now, what I recommend you do is check out this video over here if you want to go a bit deeper. Let's jump into it together. I'll see you over in that one.